Good evening, good evening, good evening, everyone. There's my man, Tamar. God bless you, brother. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Carl's Conversations. This is an impromptu session. Just at 8:30 this evening, I decided to go live. I want to talk about the George Floyd trial. So, for all of you who are just coming on, I want to remind you to share, call somebody, let somebody know that Carl's Conversations is on. We're going to have a conversation tonight. I just want to get people's reactions and feelings so far as to what's going on with the George Floyd uh, trial. Of course, we know that the prosecution and the defense made their final arguments today. And if you guys are feeling like I'm feeling, uh, Derek Chauvin is not the only person on trial. It feels that America is on trial. It feels that racism is on trial. It feels like police brutality is on trial. It feels like the soul of our nation is on trial. And not that I so desperately want Derek Chauvin as a person to be convicted, but for people who have been mistreated by police. And I think that we're at a point now where it's going to be very difficult to deny there is a police brutality issue in America. There is a gun violence issue in America. And I just want to get a feel of what we're going through. Tonight, I have an impromptu panel. I do thank these three gentlemen for coming on with me. My son, aka the young lion, Davian Armstrong, who will be the heir of this kingdom that I'm building one day. My man, Tamar Turner, who I just met a few minutes ago, who is a trusted friend of my daughter down in Atlanta. And my brother, Pastor Daniel Bowman. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me today as people begin to come on. Once again, everybody, I want you to share this video, start a watch party, begin to let people know that we're talking about the George Floyd trial. So, Pastor Bowman, I'm going to start with you. Just tell us how you're feeling about what you see so far, and what do you think the jury was going to say?
Starting off with how the jury is, I don't know if you want to use the word stacked, but from my understanding, there are 8 white folk on there, 4 black folk, and 2 mixed. And I understand they dismissed the 2 alternate jurors. So we're not quite sure of that mix. I That doesn't seem. I don't. I guess it's a jury of peers, so maybe that is a fair balance. I'm not sure. Um, Makes me feel some kind of way. I'll put it that way. Just starting there. What over 2 hours of that closing statement of repeating a bunch of I'm not sure what to throw confusion and smoke. It's what you said. It's what you said. We've got a problem, and
Yeah.
America is on trial. The soul of America is on trial, and if we cannot admit and stop playing these games that there is a systemic problem in our country, then there have been many preparations already put in place, as we've all seen in that state, in our nation's capital. Um, I'm angry, and
Yeah.
I'm the charges that he faces. I don't see maybe the what is it
Second degree murder,
second
third
degree,
degree
maybe
murder.
the second, right, the second degree, I guess, is the one they might have trouble with, but the other 2, I mean, when you
Slam
talk
dunk.
about blatant disregard for safety and life, and he keeps coming back and trying to play on that, the what a reasonable person would do. That man, you can see in that video, you can see Derek Chauvin with his feet off the ground, his full body weight on that man's back.
Yeah.
I can tell you personally, I have worked with adolescents and adults, and I've been trained in a couple different types of restraints, and you only do that if absolutely necessary. And at no point do you go to that without fearing for jail time yourself? That's
Amen.
assault. There's no doubt that that is an assault.
No doubt.
Um, what do I think the jury will do? I am praying the jury will do the right thing and find the man guilty of at least two of those counts, if not all three. I don't know how much the smoke that was blown today will
Hmm.
confuse certain members of that jury or not. Um, I yield to these other gentlemen.
I
So
appreciate
many things from your conversation the other night when the officer came on and was talking about escalation and what they consider de-escalation and what they understand the Constitution to say about seizure. Those blew my mind, and I'm still angry about what I heard there. So if you want to get into that, that's a whole other ball of wax.
it.
I think it does
We're gonna come
pertain to
back to
this, but let these gentlemen, please let these gentlemen speak, and I'm here for the conversation, but um, I'll
that.
leave it at that for now, if that's fair.
All right, Mr. Tamar, what are you thinking about the trial so far? Of course, the jury is recessed for deliberation. What are your thoughts?
I mean, honestly, you didn't tell a lie, Pastor Bowman, if I have that correctly. It's really just, as somebody who, went to school for, got my master's in broadcast journalism and different things like that, as somebody who, they pounded the news on us, watch this, watch that. As somebody who, didn't really enjoy the news just because of the negative nature behind it. Just especially me being born, well, not born, but raised in Philadelphia, born in New York. But so you just see a lot, from police brutality to just violence and everything like that. So for me, really honing in on this trial, really seeing everything that was going on, it really felt like a disrespect. It really felt like a slap in the face. Just like for me, just no bias included, or just watching this as an American with morals who knows right from wrong. This man should have been in jail day one. But the fact that now you've had police chiefs come, you've had paramedics come, you've had witnesses come, and further prove as to why this was just morally wrong.
Mhm.
Just no outside factors looking in, just with the straight facts, how this was just wrong. How, as somebody who, I lost my mom in 2011, nothing related to police brutality at all, but it really just, it hurts my heart for the Floyd family, for the Floyd relatives, friends, and everything, to have to constantly see your loved one, his death, plastered on national television. I had to cut it off. I'm not even going to lie to you at certain points, just because I was really just tired of seeing this man lose his life in front of us and everything like that. And the fact that you've had paramedics now come on there and say that you've had to ask this officer to remove his foot so that you could assess medical attention, for me it's just like, wow, well, how much more do we really need to put out there to like I said, I just feel like this should have ended a very long time ago. And it's really, I've learned so much from this, just from having friends who are in law school and just wanting to follow up with them and ask them certain questions. I've learned so much as to how the prosecution had to line questions a certain way to discredit everything that the defense could come up with, and just the strategies and things that they have to take when things are morally wrong. When we know that, aside from all the law and the processes and different things that you have to do, this man should be found guilty of all three counts. But just the fact that you have to go through so much, and just to still not even guarantee the three counts, it really just, it hurts. And it hurts just because this is only one example of many that's been made a national case that's really have to be taken to trial and different things like that. But for me, the fact that it took this long even for justice to even start to be served, in a sense, it's just like, it hurts. And I get it. I'm not law, no law expert or anything like that, so I get that things take time and you have to do certain things. But just hearing this as an African American male in America, with the climate that we're in today, with a little brother, with an older sister, with a dad, with everything that's going on, it's scary to me. But it's also just, it's very disappointing. It's very hurtful. It really just, it angers you. It lights a fuel under the fire. But it also just reminds me why I just don't watch the news. Why this America, why this country is just not built for us, for men, for African American men, for minorities. At that, it's really just, it's mind boggling to me. So, but I will say that I kind of want to commend anybody who, even the gentleman on this call, but anybody who's been able to watch this trial, who's really been able to sit there and endure all this, because it hurts for me. I can speak only for myself, but it hurts for me So I can only imagine for, like I said, for loved ones, for women, for younger children who have to watch this, for parents who are making their kids sit in front of this and watch it. It's a lot. It's really just a lot. And to constantly see, the death, the emotion, the hurt, the anger, the disrespect just constantly be plastered on national television.
Yeah, it's gotta hurt. Let me
It's a
ask you,
lot. Yeah.
Tamar, how old are you, sir?
I'll be 25 in July.
All right. It's great to hear young men speak. Davian, I want to know how you feeling about this. Um, have you set your mind to where you're going to be, whether the jury comes back with a guilty or not guilty, or even a mistrial? Where are you?
Well, first of all, I definitely do agree with everyone here about their feelings, about the worries, about the confusion, because I feel conflicted. That's the one word that I keep coming back to. You know, last year we all watched that video. The whole world watched that video. We heard George Floyd cry out for his mother. We heard his cries. We heard his pleas, and it's something it's unmistakable. We all thought this is a clear violation of just human life, and to see it progress how it has progressed thus far, to the fact that we are even at a trial of this nature where there is any debate, hurtful, incredibly painful. As far as the trial, I think I bring a different perspective, and I have to have the audience members let me know if they fall into this category. But I followed the trial very early on for opening statements, and after that, I had to step away. I have not been able to follow the trial. I've not been able to listen and watch, because for me, when I look at this trial, I feel like every Black person is on trial right now. And you spoke out as to the outcomes. My mind keeps going back to thinking, if a guilty verdict is not found, if it's not, every other bad cop, every other bad apple, we love to have those debates. I feel like that's giving them a license to say how you operate, the racism that you have in you, and how you enact that when you come across someone that looks like me. That's America telling you that it's okay. That's what my mind keeps going back to. I'm not so much focused on the guilty verdict. I'm focused on the not guilty and the message that sends out to every person, no matter your color. I don't care what your color is, to say that the unfair and illegal treatment and murder, let's call it what it is, of my people is okay.
Wow. Thank you all for those opening remarks. I tell you what, there's so much that is on my mind and on my heart. I have followed the trial until just before. I followed the entire case of the prosecution. I watched the first day and a half of the defense, but I agree early on that the defense was just it is. I know you only have to poke holes, and in the prosecution's case, you only got to convince one person of reasonable doubt. But there was nothing that the defense offered that swayed me at any turn, because I know what my eyes saw, and I am not an expert on policing, police tactics. I'm not an expert on any of that, but I'm an expert on my experience with police officers. And I want to pause for a moment to say that I take my hat off in respect and honor for every law enforcement officer who serves with dignity and respect, and has done things the right way. We love you, we need you, and we respect you. But I'm going to say again what I said last year when all this started. All that respect and honor goes out of the window when you work beside bad cops who you know are bad, and you don't have enough fortitude to turn them in and get rid of them, because they cost people freedom and lives. And we haven't even talked about how many people are incarcerated doing hard time in maximum security prisons because they've been railroaded by our criminal justice system. So we say killing people, yeah, those bullets do kill them dead, but you take the soul out of a person. I just saw a video the other day, man that did 44 years, wrongly convicted. And the state of, I think the state of Georgia, I think is where he was, they capped their payoff at $750,000. And I saw that man sit there and cry and said they took everything from me. And then you're going to tell me they got a cap. So even though we're talking about the Floyd trial, I think we'll all agree there's more than Derek Chauvin on trial here. Because this has to, in my opinion, we have to send a signal to not just law enforcement officers, because that's not the full brunt of the of our attention here. We have to send a message to the law enforcement community, to lawmakers and policymakers, to say America has grown tired with its police force killing its citizens. We've grown tired.
Absolutely.
We've grown tired of unfair laws that put nonviolent criminals in jail for years. Do you know that you can murder a person in this country and get out before a person who got caught up in the crack era? Person who never had a record before but got caught selling crack under those laws? They're going to die in jail.
Go.
Or
never go. If you're white, you probably won't go. You'll pay a fine and go home that night.
Amen. So it's just so much of it blows my mind for people who are not thinking like this is big. And I'm going to leave this open for whoever wants to comment first. I'm so full, I almost don't know what to say. But I will say this. With what we saw, with the entire world standing up and saying what happened to George Floyd was wrong, if there will be no conviction in this case, two things. I weep for America, but I won't feel sorry when she burns.
I don't know. The governor today there said in one of his statements, we need to protect life and property. As a white man in today's world, if you dare come across with that, and again, you and I talked about this on several occasions, Brother Carl, you know that we both feel that there's a movement, and to be heard in movement, you have to make intelligent moves. And I've seen a lot of changes here locally. I've seen the people that were out marching in the streets with us last summer making real changes here in our community, and that does my heart good. But as we've all said tonight, our whole country is under indictment for what we saw. As a human being, you don't treat another human being that way. I said it the other night. You know, some of the comments I've made on some of the other conversations you've had in the last couple of days, brother, and wisely you have not shared them. They're out there on Facebook and people can find them, but wisely you didn't share them in the moment because you sensed that my anger was there and maybe not the full intent of what I was after. But it's got a comment here from Heather. I will take a page from her book and say what I can say on the subject. My fellow white people, white men, white pastors, our brothers and sisters of color are hurting. Our brothers and sisters of color have been fearful and are fearful for their lives and the lives of their families. We have to stand against that. If you can't say from your pulpit that Black Lives Matter and dare to face what anyone will dare to say to you outside of that pulpit, I don't want to stand near you on Judgment Day. Because Black lives do matter. What we're seeing tonight, what we're seeing in the next several days, what we'll hear from all the apologists and yes, racists, is that he was just doing his job. He should have just complied. Listen, I'll say it, and I've said it, and I'll say it, and I'll keep saying it. A police officer is not to be judge, jury, and especially not executioner. Black men and women should not be dying. Black children should not be dying just for having interactions with police officers. And it may be absolutely true that we ask too much of these officers, but then that's the main point for me. Then let's defund what they're doing and fund something else, fund other teams, other professionals, people that are trained to come into high risk situations and start a conversation instead of accidentally reaching for the wrong weapon and taking another life. It has to stop. White men, white pastors, my white people, you need to take a stand. And if you don't understand where it comes from, and if you don't understand the difference between what my brother Carl said, that Black Lives Matter is a movement to get recognition that the system is the problem. I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, the Green Party, independent, if you call yourself liberal, conservative, I don't care what you call yourself. You have to understand that disproportionately our brothers and sisters of color are being murdered, and officers and those that support them are getting away with it. It has to stop. That's what we're seeing come to a head right here. And you're absolutely right, brother. I don't want to see rioting in streets. But as has been said by wiser men than myself, rioting is the language of the unheard.
Amen. And thank you for sharing that, Daniel. I know that comes from a genuine place. The two young men, the two 24-year-olds, this is open. Do one of you have a comment?
Yeah, so I mean, I honestly, everybody is echoing my sentiments here. It's a lot. It really just takes me even back to my days when I was at East Carolina University and when I served as the president for the Black Student Union, so the largest minority organization on campus at a PWI in the South at the time when Trump was president, and just how I had to really be the voice, for the African American community, really just speak on different issues, really just, serve and even things that didn't relate, directly to my organization or directly to me per se. But I was just having to, that's when I felt like I really even matured and really just realized that this problem was deeper than just me, deeper than just me being African American. This is something that, and I think somebody even dropped it. We really, this was never really built for us as African Americans, as minorities. This was never really set up for us. We never really had a sense of belonging. I really don't think we ever will. But it also just goes to show the strength and the fortitude that we have and that we have to consistently show. And that I really just want to commend everybody out there for, even Pastor, just for, being willing to lend that helping hand, because oftentimes it just feels, as I'll speak for myself when I say this, but it just felt like I was preaching to the choir at a lot of times with the I've led different protests, different marches, different things where if I had to speak, but it felt like, the same people were there over and over again. The same people wanted change. The same people knew this was wrong. The same, like you said, it has nothing to do with Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, whatever you want to do, whatever label you want to place on yourself. This is really just a right from wrong thing. We're all human beings. We're all Homo sapiens. We were all created in God's image. So at the end of the day, we all know what right from wrong is. And so it really just goes, it helps a lot when, somebody who doesn't necessarily look like me, somebody who doesn't resonate with all the ideologies and beliefs and opinions that I have, but they're still willing to recognize right from wrong and even speak out on it. But also, be an advocate, be a voice. And I feel like we need a lot more of that, but it's hard, especially when, events are happening all over. We just had the mass shooting in Indianapolis at the FedEx, which how we're only in April. And how, just the climate that everything has just been and everything that we've gone through it's really just, like I said, it really just goes back to the days of me recognizing and remembering why I don't watch the news, why I try to, hone out all of this negativity, because it's really just a lot. And me as a younger male, as a 24-year-old African American male, growing up, in this and seeing everything, it's just sometimes I really don't, what to think, or sometimes it's hard to, stay on the right track or truly want to, do what you want to do, just because this country is hard being in a place that you feel as though doesn't support you adequately, doesn't support you 100%. It's hard being in a place where at one point, you were, you were considered 3/5 of a man. You weren't even considered a full-fledged human being. So, and this conversation can really just go deep, but it really just goes to show, everything that we've had to overcome, everything that we're still overcoming to date, everything that, we'll continue to have to overcome. We're literally watching, I'm going to keep reiterating this because this is really just what's standing out to me. We're literally watching a man be murdered on national television over and over and over again. And
Murdered.
we're having to, derive facts from here. We're having to pose questions this way. We're having to bring on this witness. We're having to do so and so. We're having to watch people take the stand and shed tears as they recall just different incidents. This is just not an America or a place that I ever picture myself, living. This is not a place where I want my little brother to live in. This is not a place where I even want my dad to be, my family to be. This is not a place where I want to have, family and go on to, make generations, leave legacies and different things like that. But at the end of the day, do I recognize that I'm fighting a fight? I do. And will I continue to do that, in all regards and all fallacies and whatever I need to do? Absolutely. Because I just love my people and I love what I know can be for my people. So, but when you have people, like I said, Pastor Bowman, and when you have conversations like this, that, people just come in and really just share and we can all just be on the same accord and really know what's going on. It really does help. And it really does, make you feel better that other people out there are going through it just the same, that other people out there, still want to be that advocate, still want to support you. So again, I do thank you for the conversation. I do thank everyone for hopping on. I thank you for the platform, but I also want to, continue to encourage everybody just to, it's hard. It was hard for me waking up every day and being the president of this organization. It was hard for me every day waking up, having to write a statement here, having to deal with this, having to log on to different apps and see what's being said, both anonymously and directly about me, about my counterparts, about my institution that I'm paying a lot of money to go to. It's hard doing all of that, especially when you come from the North, and I don't really deal with all of that. I didn't know anything about the South till I really went to college. So it was eye-opening for me, but it really taught me a lot. I think it even gave me a different sense, of purpose, of being, of belonging, of really, just a different type of mission. So it's just something that I continuously try to do, but I just want to continuously commend, clap it up, pat my people on the back, and even pat the advocates on the back, because we're doing everything that we can do, and we're not going to stop. We're going to continue fighting this fight, I feel like, for generations to come. And I mean, it's hard. It's hard, continuing to watch CNN. It's hard watching people get murdered in cold blood. It's hard watching people get taken away from their families. But it's also much harder, too, when you quit on it, when you turn your back to it, and you watch it continuously happen uncontrollably. So I'll take that first hard over the latter hard any day of the week.
Thank you, brother. Davian.
Thank you for that as well. That was so much to unpack, mostly because a lot of that I was feeling myself. I'm 24 as well, and I remember going to the marches. That was my first time. I remember going to protest peacefully. I remember being in that sea of people and seeing so many other people that look just like me, and so many other people that did not. And I'm seeing it in the comments here. And want to look at this recent one, I believe it was Alyssa or Elisa. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, but Middleton, God made one race, and that's the human race. Yes, and it still boggles my mind when I'm looking at the trial and I'm looking at this case that one singular concept is not one that we can fully grasp as long as we've been on this earth. I don't understand that, because that really opened my eyes to show that while this is our struggle, there are other people that feel it as well. And I think a lot of times when we're dealing with this, we don't look at the allies, we don't look at the advocates, we don't look at other people that are supporting us and trying to use either their white privilege or just be there to show their support, to say, hey, this is wrong. Because a lot of times when we're looking at this trial, looking at racism incarnate being on trial, it can feel like it's just us. And I know too far and too personal how that despair can feel. I've gone from hearing about this new shooting, and it seems like there's a new shooting every week, and then you have to get to the facts on this trial and then jump onto that one, and you get numb to it. You get numb to it, or I can't watch it, I can't listen to that. And then another one happens, and then you have that anger. That this last recent time with the 13-year-old boy, that one was anger for me, as I'm sure it was for a lot of people. And when you're constantly hit with this over and over and over again, And I believe my brother said it here, growing up, I didn't think about all of this. Everybody was all the same, it is what it is. And Dad, we had these conversations, treat other people the way you want to be treated. But as you get older and you start to face these harsh realities, it's once again, I keep coming back to that word. It's unmistakable. I cannot get around it. And for those people, and I'll say it's white people that say, oh, well, I don't need to focus on that. I don't need to worry on that. Oh, I don't want to say anything. I don't want to offend. Your Black friends, your Black associates, your Black coworkers, they don't have that luxury. We're feeling it. I have to go to work when I hear that somebody else that could have been my brother, my uncle, my sister, my cousin, my father, my mother was killed. I have to show up. And when we don't know that the people in our corner, the people in our outer and inner circle are really here supporting us, that just makes that despair, that anger, that numbness, it compounds it 10 times more. And I can say I've definitely felt that at work, being there and hearing the response. So I don't want to say anything about the trial because I don't know what to say. I don't want to offend somebody. Not saying stuff, not saying anything is how we continue to get here. Because as that silent majority of racism continues to rise, it's not being called out. We're not saying anything about it. The reason why this trial is so important to so many people is because it is on a global scale. The whole world is watching this trial, just like the whole world watched George Floyd be murdered. Okay? Mm-hmm. You cannot, it's no escaping it. And if it is not called out here, and you said it yourself, this is larger beyond Derek. If it's not called out here on this grand of a scale, what kind of hope afterwards can I feel? That if something does happen to me when I go to the store and I get stopped and something happens to me, what hope can I have that the same is going to happen again? I cannot understate, I cannot stress how important this trial is. I cannot. I hope they come to a decision soon, because as much as I try to keep it out of my head, it's something that's always there. It's always there. Turn on my phone, I turn on TV, I'm constantly compounded with race. It's always there, and it brings it all back. Even this conversation here, while it's important, while we need to talk about it, while we need to get this out, it's heart-wrenching. I feel like I'm on trial. I feel like you're on trial. I feel like all Black people are on trial right now. Racism is on trial right now. And it's awful. I need to stop. I'm gonna keep going.
I get it. There's something I want to point out to the audience, and Elisa, she beat me to it. But I'm hoping that the audience sees, and this is Daniel, me and you are the old men here. But look at these two 24-year-old Black men. Have you heard their brilliance? Have you witnessed their passion? These are two educated young men. I just met Tamar 5 minutes before going on air. I normally wouldn't put anybody on the air like that, but it came to me from a trusted source, my daughter down there in Atlanta. So when the next time you see a young Black male, and he may be wearing a hoodie, his pants may even be sagging. He may look to you like the typical thug or threatening person. You may see one of these two young men on the street, but what you don't know is you have no need to fear, because they would sooner protect you than they would to harm you. And so if one of these young men were the next to be stopped by a cop who's full of himself, or just whatever, I couldn't think. I want to share something very personal. Thank you, Candy. This is my delegate, my Virginia delegate, Candy King. She said, this is such an important conversation. Thank you, Carl, for bringing us together. Amen, Candy. I'm trying. DJ, I want you to work with me here. DJ is my son, and I remember having those conversations with him when he was beginning to drive. And of course, I tried not to show my trump cards, because I didn't want him to know how badly it was tearing me up. But I never forget the first time I gave him my keys, And I didn't have a problem trusting him. DJ had earned my trust way before I ever gave him my keys. I was so afraid because I didn't want my son to die. And TJ, you correct me if I'm wrong. I told him, I said, son, number one, just, man, do the speed limit. Stop at the stop signs. Do what you're supposed to do. Don't have 4 guys in a car. Don't play the music loud. And for God's sake, if they pull you over, son, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And if for some reason you run into a Yahoo and he want to put a beating on you, son, take the beating, please. Because if you fight back, these jokers going to kill you, man. And I can't go through that. And at that point, I don't know if he really understood the gravity of it. I know he has a better understanding now. But just last year, my son sent me a text. And I'll paraphrase, maybe he can be more direct. Dad, if the cops kill me, don't let them get away with it. Fight for me. Do you remember what you wrote, son?
I do.
Can you tell the audience, please?
I mean, you paraphrased it for the most part. It was, if I get pulled over, if something happens to me and the cops do end up killing me, don't take the money. I believe that was after or during the Breonna Taylor case. And after seeing what happened there, I was thinking, okay, what was that with me? And I'm not here anymore. I wouldn't want my family to take the money and be quiet and move away. Keep up the fight. And I believe we had a conversation after that. If I was in the wrong and it's clear that I'm in the wrong, hey, the cop did what he had to do. Okay. But if it was unjust, us staying silent on either side of the aisle is once again how we end up to situations like this. You know, you mentioned that talk. I remember that talk. And at the time, you're right, I did not fully understand and grasp the magnitude of what you were saying. And I did not realize that I was getting the talk that so many young Black men get when they first start embarking out on their own. I did not realize that I was getting the talk until much afterwards. I was thinking, like you said, oh, my father doesn't trust me. I'm going to be responsible. I'm going to do this. But I wasn't thinking about the danger that I was putting myself in just going out there and driving by myself. I wasn't thinking about that because it hadn't entered my being yet, you know? But there was a moment I was with a friend a little later, and we were driving and we got pulled over. And he immediately starts mouthing off and saying all this stuff. Oh, cops are this, cops are that, cops are that. I just remember looking over at him and telling him to shut up, because if you don't be quiet, we're not going to make it out of here. I'm going to talk. You be quiet. And I'm here today. I say that story to say I also went to a PWI. I went to Radford University, and also graduated with the bachelor's in criminal justice. And while I was there, I remember we read this book. And in that book, it was talking about the talk that Black fathers tell their Black sons. And I was the only Black male in the classroom. And naturally, all eyes were on me. And I had other students in the classroom trying to also share on that experience and say, oh, I've had the talk too. Yeah, I've had the talk, being respectful to cops and make sure you turn the music off and doing this. Yeah, I've had the talk too. It's the same thing. And most times, because I was conscious of my environment, I tried to only speak if I felt it was vitally necessary. And in that moment, because that meant so much to me, I felt like I had to talk. And I had to explain to them that it was not the same. It was not the same. Their parents don't fear anytime they walk out the door, anytime a friend picks them up, anytime they drive themselves. They're not trembling on the inside when they're going to get their first car. They're not afraid of what's going to happen, even if we do everything right. Even if we say everything right, even if we don't look disheveled, they're not afraid of that. They're not afraid of it. They're afraid of the man with the gun. And that's something that, as a parent, and I'm not a parent myself, but I can only assume that is the greatest fear, because it's something you have no control over. Because I can go outside tonight, I legally own my car, have my license and registration, go to 7-Eleven, give me a soda, and that could be it. 24 years, that's it. For what? For what? That talk is something that's not lost on me. And I see it now, even when I leave the house. My girlfriend, be safe. And I'm like, yeah, I'll be fine. But I know what that is because they understand the reality that with me wearing this skin, it's not just another person behind the car. It's another black man behind the car. And that means something in this country. I never forget that talk. And it's not lost on me every time I pick up my keys, every time I step outside my house.
I appreciate that. Hey, Pastor Bobo, I'm going to come to you in just a moment. Here is Delegate Candy King. She says, I hate to be the politician in the room, but I cannot emphasize enough how important it is for us to take our anger and hurt to the ballot box and vote for people who are ready to change this system. I am beyond sick and tired. And I'm going to say something for Candy that she can't say for herself right now. I have spent some time with Candy. I have watched Candy when she don't know I'm watching. She earned my vote. She will continue to earn my vote no matter what office she runs for. Candy is in Richmond, Virginia, and she is sure enough showing up for the people. And I can appreciate having a real person that's not double talking, not being slick, not trying to get notoriety, but going to work for the people. I certainly appreciate it. So Candy, I'm it's not a free plug, whatever. I'm just speaking the truth. And her husband, Joshua King, is up here too. He ran for public office. He wrote a book, And I'm sorry, Joshua, I don't have the book right here in front of me. I'm gonna start keeping it whenever I go live. But he in that book, he was teaching us how to run for office. And he gave a lot of information. And so if anybody's here and this is motivating you to take action, I want you to reach out to Joshua King. You can find him on Facebook. He has a lot of information. As a matter of fact, very soon I'm going to bring him back to Carl's Conversation because now is the time we got to take action. And Delegate Candy King is right. We got to put people in office that's going to do something. Up here in Stafford, we have a motto. We're going to change your mind or we're going to change your seat. And we mean business when we say that. And she says, our sons and daughters are human beings. We should not have to continue having these conversations to save their lives. We can't change hearts and minds, but we can change policy and politicians. You doggone right, Delegate King. Pastor Bowman. I think his video froze. It's all right. Tomorrow we'll go to you, sir.
No, honestly, I really just I thank you for this. I love platforms like this. It's really just been great to hear, not only from Pastor yourself, your son, but it's really just been great to hear from the audience as well. Just people who are sharing, just echoing things. And I really just, as somebody who didn't always recognize the importance of voting, I was very naive, to the whole I really became naive with the whole popular vote thing when everything happened with Hillary Clinton, and I really found out like how the electoral college works and different things like that. But I told myself to to continue to keep that attitude, to continue to keep that mindset is not going to help with anything. So I was very much on the forefront of trying to get people to vote and absentee ballots or whatever, just making sure that everybody make your voice heard, even if you don't feel like it. I just keep telling people, imagine if you take that attitude. Imagine if thousands of people kept that same attitude that I kept. Just thousands of votes, that wouldn't have been cast. Thousands of votes that probably still weren't cast that could have been, and different things like that. So it's really just important. So, while the national and everything that's going on at the United States level is very important, it's really important to know what's going on state and locally. It's because those are, things that you're affected by day in and day out. It's probably policies and different things out there that you may not even know exist or that go on, that take place, but you got to do some research. And for me, as somebody who, went from Philadelphia to then Greenville, North Carolina, went from Greenville, North Carolina to then Syracuse, New York, went from Syracuse, New York to back to Philadelphia. Now I'm in Tampa, Florida. As somebody who relocates a lot and different things like that, I have to continuously read up on different policies and rules and law changes. So I definitely encourage everybody out there to do the same. And like I really just said, we just really have to continue to keep fighting this fight. It was definitely, like I said, in the 5 minutes that I was able to meet you and just figure out everything that was going on. It's actually crazy because that Davian, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, but you actually took the words out of my mouth when you said that you stopped watching it, because I definitely did stop watching it. So when Jasmine told me that you're about to speak about the trial, I said, oh, did they make a decision already? I didn't. So that's how a little out of touch I was. I didn't know what was going on. I said, oh, this might be a good, but so it really just goes to show, what we go through day in and day out. But I truly, truly take my hat off. I take my hood off in this case. But to everybody, who came on tonight, who really shared and did everything just to make it possible, because it really just, it helps me. It continues to give me hope, that I'm not out here alone, that it's not just me and just African Americans that even want the change. It's pastors out here speaking for us. It's white Caucasian males and their counterparts speaking for us. And so this is something that we truly need. And while sometimes it may feel like it's never ending, while sometimes it may feel like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, you just got to keep on keeping on. You just got to keep on fighting, and whatever that looks like for you. And just know that there's always going to be help. There's always going to be somebody who backs you, somebody who can relate or resonate, or somebody who's going through the same thing. But yeah, as an African American male, in this world, I wouldn't take back anything. Granted, this wasn't built for us from start to where we are now. But would I take back who I am and what I've gone through and everything like that? No, absolutely not. Because I feel like, it gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense to fight for. And at the end of the day, I just realized that I felt like at some point this was just bigger than me. Me going
Oh
down to
yeah.
the outfit is way just bigger than me. This is about my little brother, my little brother's children, and different things like that. So it's just,
Hey, Tamar, I want to ask you a question before I bring Pastor Bowman back.
yeah.
Did your parents have the talk with you, about, when you first started driving and all that stuff, and how to interact with police? And if they did, how did that affect you?
So, I would say I didn't get my license until I was 16. So that would have been my junior year, going into my junior year of high school. I lost my mom my sophomore year of high school. So in regards to that, my dad was more so really the person who taught me how to drive and everything like that. And so with everything going on, he always used to tell me, make sure I know where all my stuff is, my paperwork and everything, communicate things properly. He knows how I can be. So he also told me, you got to keep it level. You got to recognize that this is, they're going to look for any single thing. You look wrong, you reach wrong, it's whatever. So, you have to you have to always keep that in front of you and keep that behind you. But something I will say that I attribute to my mom a lot is growing up, like, and I think she even helped me with it. I have a photographic memory, but something that she used to do in the mornings, like just in taking me to school or just in waiting for the bus or whatever, she used to just have me run down different things, run down my address, run down my phone number, run down her phone number, run down my dad's phone number, run down the house phone number, run down my grandparents' phone number, their address, and different things like that. So I really would say that just having that, just that insight, that, just that, I don't know, that nature of survival, to me, it's something I've always picked up. So I always make sure, I remember people's numbers by heart. If I'm living, my people who I stayed with at ECU, I just knew their phone numbers by heart, just in case, anything went wrong. Or I know my mom, I still know my mom's phone number by heart. It's just, that's how much is just ingrained in me. So I will say that, yeah, they definitely, my dad just gave me to talk about just having two strikes against you. One, that I'm African American, another that I'm a male. And that's something that I'll never forget, ever. Like, just the fact that, just being African American, you're gonna have to work harder. It's gonna be plenty of things that you're just not gonna be allotted the opportunity to. And I didn't really understand that. But when I went to a private Catholic high school, so PWI, all boys high school, I saw it. I saw it first and foremost. I saw how, this just wasn't for me. How they love you when, you could dribble a ball, or when you run fast, or do this or do that. But, when you have genuine issues, and when you genuinely don't feel supported by your institutions, then it's a problem. I wrote a letter to my high school, actually, kind of calling them out in a sense, just how I felt like, after we graduated, you guys asked us to donate this and donate that and do this and do that. But what are you guys doing for us? You guys haven't addressed any of the, brutality, any of the mass shootings that's gone on, except for a general statement, that you put out days after it happened, or whatever the case may be. So it's just like, I'm all about transparency. I'm all about fairness. I feel like if you want my money, if you want, my support and different things like that, then I should feel that wholeheartedly reversed. And I don't feel like that. So I'm a big guy when it comes to holding people accountable.
Hey,
I think
don't
that's,
lose it. You don't need
That's
it.
how my dad gave me that talk. Because I'm gonna call you out if things aren't right. I don't like when things don't make sense. So I will say that, yes, in a sense, my dad definitely gave me the talk and instilled things in me, but my mom definitely did the same too. And it made me feel in the moment like I didn't get it. Yes, it was very annoying at 8 and 9 in the morning, running down all these phone numbers and addresses and colors and this and that. But now, when I'm just so sharp on different things, or just know different things, or don't have to second guess myself or anything like that, I always just point up in the sky, look at my mom, and then I always just thank my dad, like, wow, you guys always told me like someday this will make sense. And I would always just, yeah, whatever. It makes a lot of sense today.
You got
So
it now.
yeah, most definitely.
Hey, I'm
Most
gonna read
definitely.
something real quick. Bishop Leonard Lacey, who is one of the ministerial leaders here in the Stafford area, he writes this: Carl, thank you for the conversation tonight. More of this is needed. What would the panel offer to the community in response to a verdict of guilty or not guilty? What you guys don't know is Bishop Lacey and I and a few other pastors are working on some stuff behind the scenes. And Bishop, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for that question. I will tell you, no matter what the verdict is, Carl's Conversations is going to come back, because I really do believe you see my banner running at the bottom of the screen, and it says Carl's Conversations is a safe place to have difficult conversations. And I really do mean that. This right here is a difficult conversation. It really is. It's not easy to get on and pour yourself out and be open to ridicule. But Bishop, you have my word. My audience has my word. I'm going to come back. And what we want to do is offer a place where people can come and just pour it out, have honest conversations. And listen, I'm not for the echo chamber. It doesn't have to be just if you agree with me or agree with what the panel is saying. We welcome disagreement too. I've only got 2 rules when it comes to Carl's Conversations. Be respectful of everybody, and remember that it's not your platform, right? And as long as we can do that, we can have conversations. Pastor Bowman, I know you had some technical difficulty there, but I want to get your thoughts on all this that these young men have shared.
Um, I, there are 2 Americas. It's never been more clear in the last year, at least from. I don't mean to take anything away from what anyone else has experienced. Again, I'm a white man in America. I've never feared being stopped by the cops. I was more afraid of my parents growing up late, doing something wrong to the car, getting back after curfew. I was more afraid of my parents than I was of meeting a cop. I don't have that experience. I don't have that background. There are 2 Americas when it comes to being white in America and being Black or a person of color in America. It's never been clearer to me. You gentlemen have lived it. I know I still have a lot to learn, and I still have a lot to understand. But I know that the disparity has to change. We need equanimity. We need a system that supports all people. We're the all lives matter people when these white children are being shot as well. They're not saying anything. I'm so sickened by what I consistently see on the Freelance Star site. People coming to the defense of with such foolish ideas. I'm so tired of people trying to score political points and trying to get one up on each other instead of coming up with answers. Bishop Lacey, thank you for your question. What I would say to that, and I know you had a little bit different question, Carl, but I think that was a very good conversation. I would say again to white people, if the verdict comes back guilty, then you need to listen to our Black brothers and sisters and understand what that means for this community and for our country and what we need to do next. If the verdict comes back not guilty, white people, protect and stand up for and continue to learn from our brothers and sisters in these communities. I don't understand everything that it means to be a Black man in America. I never will. But I know my brother Carl, and I've met these other gentlemen, and I will stand with you, whether we're marching in the streets, whether we're standing at the courthouse, whether we're sitting in a courtroom, whether we're sitting at a board meeting. I will stand with you. I will stand in front of you, and I will say these men's lives matter. These men have experiences that need to be heard and understood, and America needs to understand that we can only be strong when we become one. And we have never been one. Langston Hughes has said, let America be America again, that has never been yet. America has never been yet. That's the America that I believe Martin Luther King Jr. dreamed of, and that I dreamed to live in with you, my friends, and my brothers.
Amen. Bishop Lacey says, I appreciate you for speaking up and speaking out. Bishop, I can't tell you how much it means to me that you're with us tonight. Bishop Lacey is a man of much wisdom, and he has a heart to help this community, and he especially is concerned about our young Black men. For those of you who don't know, on Sunday, Bishop Lacey was honored by a proclamation from the Virginia House of Delegates for his community service. He's not lip service. He's not just a talker. Bishop is a doer, and he's so modest that he probably would never tell you that himself. But I just want you to know the caliber of people who are on this call. And Bishop, I'm going to have a better answer for you, because I know what you're thinking. I'm going to have a better answer for you as to what this panel is going to offer the community. That's a challenge to me, a positive challenge. And I'm going to find a way to reach out. I have to do something. I want Carl's Conversations to be the sounding board. Listen, we're going to begin to wrap. I thank you all. This was so impromptu. At 8:30, I decided to do this, and I think the last person I talked to was Tamar 5 minutes before we went live. So I appreciate y'all coming on. I'm going to start with Tamar, and then Davian, and then with Pastor Bowman. I want to get your closing remarks. Is anything that you want to say? The door's open for you. Tamar, we'll start with you.
So yeah, a big like I said, I really kind of come in and I didn't know I didn't know that this was going to be everything, but I think I needed this. This has gave me, some time to reflect, some time to really realize what it is, what's going on, and just really realize, what is out there with other people. I love what everybody is saying, from the comments to just the three other gentlemen on the call. I love this. This was much needed, and even to Bishop Lacey, the question, and kind of within my closing as well. I think my answer is the same regardless of the verdict. It's continue to fight and continue, to be that voice, but to also make sure that everybody else is being heard. Because even as I was talking to my roommate, and I was telling him that, look, this verdict could come back guilty, go away, whatever. We can't just, we have every right to be, happy, celebrate, whatever case you want to call it. But can we get complacent and settle and be comfortable? By no means. Because as soon as, we let our guard down, or we bat an eye or two, or we just sit back, another case pops up or something. I feel like we still have a few other cases out there that need to go to trial, if we're being honest. But so I definitely think either way, wherever it turns, we need to just make sure that the momentum is continued and is carried a long way for years to come, for generations to come. So a big thank you, much love to the gentleman on this call, much love to everyone in the audience. I definitely do look forward to tapping in, with Carl's Conversations moving forward, and even be able to be a part of it if I can. But this was a lovely collaboration. I definitely do thank everyone for sharing their thoughts tonight. It was much needed, and just continue to stay strong. I know it's a lot with the trial. I know everything is going on like that, but just know that we all have each other. If nobody has your back, I got your back. So thank y'all again for this.
I appreciate it, Tamar. I want you to get with Jazz and get my information. Hit me up, because I absolutely want to bring you back for future panels. Okay.
I got you for sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Davian.
As always, I'm always honored and happy to come into this space. As you say it, and as you keep it every time you have one, it is a safe place to have those difficult conversations. And, and I'll answer the previous question there. When I look at it for it being guilty, yes, there will be the celebration, will be the sense of relief, the sense that justice is due. However, for me, I know I'm still not going to feel fulfilled, because there's two other cases that just happened last week. And we need justice on that as well. And I guess it's just me and my nature. I'm the kind of person, you do me wrong again and again and again and again and again, and then do me right once and expect that to make something change. No, I need you to do me right again and again and again and again. And Black America is owed that. George Floyd is one. We need to see that continue. Now, if it's a not guilty, I believe I was tame last time protesting. I'm going out and I'm going to fight peacefully. But if it turns into a not peaceful way, I'm going to fight. And I believe that's a sentiment that's shared by a lot of people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Pastor Bowman.
Brother Carl, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here tomorrow and dig in. Thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege to spend some time with you. You intelligent young Black men put me and my thoughts to shame in many ways, and it has been an honor to share some time with you. I thank you so much for your willingness to share from your hearts and for your willingness to be active to help your community. So many thoughts just keep cycling through my head. And again, it comes down to, please, my white brothers and sisters, whether you're churched, Republican, Democrat, liberal, green, independent, whatever you call yourself, please understand that what is coming to our country in the next several days will be history. We've had far too much history. 2020 needs a book all to itself. And what we just saw Miss Maxine Waters come out and say that the protest needs to kick it up a notch, I agree with her. And when the judge tried to reprimand her for that, how come we had a president that could say whatever he wanted about men kneeling at football games and about other things, and those were influential as well, but no one spoke out against him? Well, I know people spoke out. All that aside, please understand, whatever the verdict, whatever the decision, my Black brothers and Black sisters, my heart is with you. I stand with you. I stand in front of you, and I stand for justice, because you're absolutely right. Justice is not just this one point in time. Even under all of this scrutiny, we've still had police murders happen, and it must stop. I look forward to hearing other panels, Brother Carl, with officers available. But if that's ever to happen, I don't know that it can happen the way that it needs to happen. I understand when you're a professional, you have to be guarded when you talk about your job for fear of losing your job. You can't talk about your colleagues and say, oh, this person or that person. But we have to have some transparency from our officers. If you want to build, if you ever want to have a chance at building trust with the community, you have to show transparency. When the bad apples are taken out, we need to know about it, and we need to know why and how, and that it was done swiftly. This is a bad apple.
Yeah.
And if it comes a not guilty verdict, it's just further proof that the whole orchard is rotten, and we got to dig up the roots and start something new.
We're gonna get to
I'm here. I'm here for the long haul. I'm not here for a hashtag. I'm here for change. Gentlemen, it has been my honor to be with you, to speak with you. I look forward to seeing what you will accomplish in the future together. And if I have any way to support you in doing it, please let me know. I'm more than happy to. Thank you again, Brother Carl, for your wisdom. I tried to tone down a little bit tonight, but I'm always available, and you always have the off switch for me.
It's all good. I'm going to close, and it's going to be very short, but I want to make sure that I do due diligence here. Delegate Candy King writes this: thank you again to all the panelists. Tamar, Davia, know that you are valued and irreplaceable. Keep up the good work and keep using your voices. And that is from a sitting Virginia delegate. Okay, that means a lot. Bishop Leonard Lacey writes, a panel of wisdom, grace, and love. I am blessed by your expressions. I want to take just a moment to recognize a few VIPs in our audience, because I think it's very important for the audience to know who's with us. First and foremost, Delegate Candy King, who represents the district where I live. My vote was cast for her. The fact that her and her husband, Mr. Joshua King, who is a law enforcement officer himself, the fact that they're here, Joshua is also an author. Tremendous people, real people, and I'm honored to have you in the audience. Bishop Leonard Lacey, not only a pastor to those who belong to his church, but he really is a pastor to everybody that he meets. He is truly a walking example of what it means to be a credible witness for Jesus Christ and someone who has taken the mantle of true Christian leadership and lives in demonstration of that. Sir, you are honored and respected on this platform, and you and your comments are welcome anytime. Bishop Lacey is one of those persons, he can call me and say, I want to get on, and I'm going to say, what time, sir? No mistake about it. We also want to thank Alisa Middleton, who is a content creator and a tremendous leader in our community. United Black Council, that is her organization. Two Mics Up, that is her show. When Alisa is talking, it is very important, and she's a person who's heard in the community, and I thank God for her presence. Also, Chief Nate Thompson came here tonight. He is the chief of police for Aquia Harbor. He was willing to come on with us impromptu on Sunday evening. We had some technical difficulties here, and he gave me some encouragement, keep it going. And Chief Nate has agreed to be part of a panel of law enforcement officers that I'm trying to put together very soon, because I feel like we need to hear from them and they need to hear from us. And this is something that I want to close with. A couple things. First thing is this. I know a lot of people are frustrated about police brutality in our country. I know a lot of people are frustrated about how the criminal justice system has been unfair to minorities. I know a lot of people are frustrated about racism in general. I'm asking that you put your passion to positive use. When you deal with police officers, please, please, please don't put all of the negative that you've seen on the particular officer that you're dealing with. He or she may be part of the solution. They may be the officer that's just as tired of this crap as we are. So you understand what I'm saying? I'm not making them the sympathetic figure here. I'm saying that there are some good police officers out there who stand with us, who are just as tired of the bad apples as we are. And I'm saying don't push the envelope to get yourself messed up because we jumping the gun. Now they prove themselves to be unfit, then we got to deal with them accordingly. But let's give them a chance to be a part of the solution. We need them to be part of the solution. I cannot express enough how proud I am of these two young men. And I think Pastor Bowman would agree with me. I think every other adult out there agrees with me. It is so good. Now, my son knows this because I raised him telling him this. The young men in your community are the young lions. They're the protectors. The old kings like me, we trust these young lions for our perimeter defense, right? They're young, they're strong, they're full of vigor and ambition, and we need them. So many of our young lions have been locked away with the key thrown away. So many of our young lions got consumed with drugs and alcohol and have been killed by gang violence, gun violence. And I can't tell you how refreshing it is to see these two young lions with us tonight trying to be part of the solution. Young men, I salute you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Stay encouraged. My son knows I'm always available. But tomorrow, I know you have a father, but I'm officially adopting you tonight. I could be fatherish.
I think every bit of it. I appreciate that.
Amen. Get my information from Jasmine, and I'm here for you, brother. And we're gonna do some work together. Bishop Lacey, I got 2 young men, and we're gonna work these brothers. Bishop Lacey loves to work with the young guys because you guys have something to offer. Pastor Bowman, I can't tell you, brother, how much I respect you. Listen, it was about 8:45, I think, when I hit up Pastor Bowman. Hey man, I got a wild hair. I'm going live at 9. You down? He was like, yes, for you I am.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. So to the audience, you're awesome. Don't forget to like and share Carl's Conversations on YouTube and on Facebook. Coming soon to Instagram and to Twitter. I'm working on it. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you share this video. Somebody needs to see it. All right? Talk about it. Talk it up. So grateful once again, Delegate Candy King. You are awesome. And I'm going to vote for you again, and I'm going to pump up your candidacy. We need to put you back in Richmond. To our panel, love you, respect you, and honor you. Until next time, and that could be in just a couple of hours with the way things are happening with me. Until next time, may God bless you and may heaven smile upon you. Good night.
Good night. God bless.